Hi students, today we are going to discuss about the chapter Is Matter Around Us Pure? Myself Vivek Sajjan, working as assistant science teacher in Chandrakant Patel Central School. Before going to the lesson, I would like to clear one thing, that if you have any doubts in this lesson, please comment in the comment box. We will give you the solution for your doubts. So let us move to the chapter. So initially in this chapter we are going to study about the mixture and different types of mixtures and their properties. Okay. So what is mixture? Mixture are constituted by more than one kind of pure form of matter known as a substance. Mixture is made up of more than one kind of pure matter. Okay. So known as substance. So a substance cannot be separated into their kind of matter by any physical process. Substance cannot be separated into its constituents by any physical process. Okay. So we know that dissolved sodium chloride can be separated from water by physical process called as evaporation. So take one solution of sodium chloride and water. Sodium chloride means common salt, okay, NaCl. So we can separate the NaCl from water by the process called evaporation. By heating process we can separate the sodium chloride separate and water separate. By heating, the water is converted into evaporated, okay, converted into vapor state, and at the bottom we are going to have the NaCl, okay. So this is how we can separate the substance by chemical process or by physical process, okay. So next we are having types of mixtures. So in types of mixture we have two types of mixtures. They are homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. Homogeneous mixture means a mixture which has a uniform composition throughout. So whenever we see the mixtures, it will look uniformly throughout its solution, okay, its composition. Such mixtures are called homogeneous mixtures or solutions. For example, salt in water, or else we can say sugar in water, or else sugar solution or salt solution. Okay, these two are the example for the homogeneous mixtures. A mixtures which contain physically distinct parts and have non-uniform compositions, such mixtures are called heterogeneous mixtures. The mixtures which contain physically distinct parts, okay, physically distinct parts means we can separate them easily by physical process, okay. They have non-uniform composition, okay, they don't have any uniform composition, but they have non-uniform composition. We can separate the constituent of that mixture by physical process. That type of mixtures are known as heterogeneous mixtures. For example, mixture of oil and water, mixture of sodium chloride and iron fillings, okay. So these are the different examples for the heterogeneous mixtures. So next we are having what is solution. A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substance. Solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substance. For example, lemonade, okay, or else we can say soda water, or etc. are all examples of solutions, okay. So these are all example for the solutions, okay. So next we are having alloys. Alloys are mixtures of two or more metals or a metal and a non-metal, okay. Alloy means it is a mixture of two or more metals, or else we can say it is a mixture of metal and non-metal, and cannot be separated into their components by physical methods, okay. Alloys are made up of two or more metals and they cannot be separated into their components by physical methods. For example, brass. So brass is one type of example for the alloy, which is made up of approximately 30% of zinc and 70% of copper. So if we add 30% of zinc plus 70% of copper, we are going to get brass. Brass is an example for the alloy. Next we are having solvent and solute. A solution has a solvent and a solute as its components. The components of solution that dissolves the other components in it, usually the component present in larger amount is called solvent, okay. the component of the solution that dissolves the other component in it. Okay, usually the component which is larger in amount, that is called as solvent. Okay, for example, if we take the solution of sugar and water is said to be a solvent. Why? Because it is larger in amount. Okay, and it is dissolving the salt in water, or else we can say sugar in water. So that's why water becomes the solvent, and water is also known as universal solvent. Okay, next one is solute, the component of the solution that dissolve in the solvent. Okay, the component or the unit which dissolve in solvent, sugar which dissolve in water, that sugar is known as solute. Okay, usually present in lesser quantity. Okay, so properties of solution. A solution is a homogeneous mixture. The particles of solution are smaller than 1 nanometer, that is 10 raised to minus 9 meter in diameter. Okay, its size is 10 raised to minus 9 diameter. So they can't seen by our naked eyes. Because of very small particle size, they do not scatter a beam of light passing through the solution. So the path of light is not visible in a solution. They does not exhibit the Tyndall effect. Okay, the solute particles cannot be separated from the mixture by process of filtration. Okay, solute particles cannot be separated by the mixture by filtration process. The solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed, that is, a solution is stable. Solution is stable. Okay, solution is said to be a stable. Next we having suspension. The suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which the solute particles do not dissolve but remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. See here, what happens means suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. Okay, in which the solute particles do not dissolve but remain suspended. They will remain all over the solvent. Okay, throughout the bulk of the medium. So properties of the suspension. Suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. The particles of suspension can be seen by the naked eyes. Due to the heterogeneous mixture, we can see the constituents of the mixture. The particles of the suspension scatter a beam of light passing through it and makes its path visible. They will exhibit the Tyndall effect. The solute particles settle down when a suspension is left undisturbed, that is, a suspension is unstable. Suspension is unstable. Why? Because the solute particles will come and settle down at the bottom of that container. Okay, they can be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. When the particles settle down, suspension breaks and it does not scatter light anymore. Okay, so whenever the particles come and settle down at the bottom, they does not scatter any beam of light. So that's why when they are suspended, they will scatter a beam of light. But when they will come and settle down at the bottom, they do not scatter the beam of light. Next we are having colloidal solution. A colloidal is a heterogeneous mixture whose particles are not as small as solution, but they are so small that cannot be seen by our naked eyes. Suspension is a heterogeneous mixture, okay, whose particles are not as small as solutions, but they are so small that cannot be seen by our naked eyes. They cannot be seen by our naked eyes. Okay. Properties of colloid. A colloid is a heterogeneous mixture. It is a heterogeneous mixture. A size of particle of a colloid is too small to be individual seen by naked eyes. So the size of the colloidal particles are very small. They cannot be seen individually by our naked eyes. Colloids are big enough to scatter a beam of light passing through it and makes its path visible. The colloids will exhibit the Tyndall effect. Okay. They do not settle down when left undisturbed. That is, a colloid is quite stable. Colloidal solutions are quite stable. Okay, we can't say that they are stable, but they are quite stable. Some important question and answers. How can we obtain colored component from blue or black ink? By the process of evaporation. Okay. How can we separate cream from milk? By centrifugation process, we can separate the milk from cream from milk. Okay. So, and it is also centrifugation. Application of centrifugation are used in diagnostic laboratories for blood and urine tests, used in dairies and home to separate butter from milk, used in washing machine to squeeze out water from wet clothes. So these are some applications of centrifugation process. How can we separate a mixture of two immiscible liquids? by separating funnel. Okay, by using the separating funnels we can separate the mixture of two immiscible liquids. How can we separate a mixture of salt and ammonium chloride? Okay, by sublimation process we can separate the salt and ammonium chloride. Okay, ammonium chloride will get converted into gases and the salt will remain at the container. Is the dye in black ink a single color? No, it has a different components, so that's why we can separate the different colors by the process called chromatography. Application of chromatography is to separate colors in a dye, pigments from natural colors, drugs from blood. So these are the different applications of this one, chromatography. How can we separate a mixture of two miscible liquids? Separation of two miscible liquids by distillation process we can separate the two miscible liquids. Okay, to separate a mixture of two or more miscible liquids from which the difference in boiling point is less than 25 Kelvin, fractional distillation process is used. Okay, fractional distillation process use ಮಾಡಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, we can separate the two or more miscible liquids. For example, for the separation of different gases from air, different fraction from petroleum products, etc. Okay, so this is the example for the separation of, or else we can say we can separate the different petroleum products like petrol, diesel, kerosene, this one, Vaselines. So these types of petroleum products are separated by the process called filtration, fractional distillation. Okay, what are the types of pure substance? We have two types of pure substance. They are elements and compounds. Elements means elements are defined as a basic form of matter that cannot be broken down into simpler substance by chemical reactions. Okay, element are defined as a basic form of matter that cannot be broken down into simpler substance by any chemical reactions. Okay, elements can be normally divided into metals and non-metals and metalloids. Elements can be further divided into three types. They are metals, non-metals and metalloids. Properties of metals. Metals are lustrous in nature. Lustrous means shining. They have the shining property. Metals have silvery or grey or golden yellow color. Okay, metals hangirtavri nodlike common agi silvery, or else they are grey in color, or else golden in color, or else they are yellow in color. Okay, metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. They will conduct the heat and electricity. They will pass the heat and electricity from one end to another end. Metals are ductile in nature. They can be drawn into thin wires. So metals are malleable. Malleable means they are hammered and they are beaten into thin sheets. Okay, so in which we are using for the roofing purposes, we are using the thin sheets, metallic thin sheets. That property of metal is known as malleability. Metals are sonorous. Sonorous means whenever we hit the metals to the hard surface, they will produce a sound. That ringing sound is known as sonorous. Example of metals are gold, silver, copper, iron, sodium, potassium, etc. Okay, so mercury is the only metal that is liquid stays at the room temperature. Okay, mercury being a metal, it will exist in liquid form at room temperature. Why? Because they have very less melting point, so that's why they will exist as a liquid form in room temperature. Properties of non-metals. They display a variety of colors. They are poor conductor of heat and electricity. They are not lustrous, sonorous and malleable. Example of non-metals are hydrogen, oxygen, iodine, carbon, so bromine, chlorine, etc. Okay, some elements have intermediate properties between those of metals and non-metals. They are called as metalloids. Metalloids means they are having both the characteristics of metals and non-metals. That type of elements are known as metalloids. For example, boron, silicon, germanium, etc. These are the example for the metalloids. So next we are having, until now we have discussed about the elements. Now we are going to discuss about the compound. A compound is a substance composed of two or more elements. Compound is a substance which is composed by two or more elements chemically combined with one another in a fixed proportion. So compounds are made up of two or more elements. That elements are chemically combined with one another in a fixed proportion, or else we can say in a fixed ratio. For example, compounds are H2O, water, H2SO4, okay, HNO3, etc. Okay, so these are the example for the compounds. So, thank you. See you in the next class. Take care. Have a nice day. Bye.